All right, hello everybody, and welcome to our classroom website. I'm just here to give you a little bit of a tour, an introduction to what's on our website and how you can use it to help you throughout this school year. So to start off with, on our homepage that you can see right here, I'm going to scroll down and there's just a little bit about me. So my name is Mackenzie Lawson, and I was born and raised in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I graduated from Northrop High School in 2014, and I am currently attending the University of St. Francis, where I am double majoring in elementary and special education, and also minoring in history. And I will be graduating a year from now. Now, right here, there are two ways to contact me. There is my email address or my phone number. You can contact me whichever way is better for you. I will try to respond to you and get back as quickly as possible. Email is probably the easiest because I can email throughout the day, but if you do wish to call me, go right ahead, and if I can't answer you right away, I will get back to you as soon as I can. So those are some simple ways to contact me and a little bit about me. You and your students will start to learn more about me as the school year goes on, but here's just a little bit about me to begin with. So we're going to go back up to the top, and we're going to go to this page right here. It says Classroom Management. So this just shows a little bit about what our classroom will be like. So to start off with, in our classroom, we have 3 rules. They are to be attentive, be respectful, and be responsible. And we'll learn more about those in a little bit. We also have classroom procedures. And procedures will only be introduced to your students as necessity arises. And students are expected to follow the procedures inside our classroom, outside our classroom, when they go to all specials, so art, gym, music, anything like that, and also anywhere in the school building. And if procedures need to be reviewed as the school year goes on, they will. And parents, just if you hear your child talking about something that happened at school and you think they need to be procedures reviewed, you can please feel free to review them with your student, or you can always contact me and we can do a review in class. A little bit about the environment of our classroom. Our classroom is built on the foundation of understanding and acceptance. All students, no matter their background, are safe and welcomed in our classroom. And I want all my students to feel safe, secure, and loved. And I want my students to know that they can talk to me about anything. And that goes for parents as well. So if you need to get in contact with me about anything, please feel free. Just a little bit about my teaching philosophy. So I'm going to do everything I can to ensure that my students are safe, happy, and loved. And that is the foundation of how I will begin teaching them. If students don't feel safe, happy, and loved in their classroom, they're not willing to learn from me. So I will always make sure that those 3 things happen before learning does. And I want my students to be able to construct their own knowledge. So your child does not come into my class as a blank canvas that I need to fill. Your student will come in with their own background, their own beliefs, their own lives, and their own experiences. So I'm here to build upon those to create their knowledge. And learning is also shown to be very social. It's a very social activity. So my students will be expected to communicate and collaborate with their peers, and that will always be in a respectful manner. And that goes back to our rule number 2, be respectful. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about my teaching philosophy, my email is right down here again. You can please feel free to contact me and we can have a conversation about that. The next one we're going to go to right here is our classroom environment. So this has a map for our classroom as well as a little bit about our classroom. So here's just a small scale replica of our map. And there's a link right down here that you can click on that will take you to another website where you can learn a little bit more about our classroom. So as you see our map here, and it has all these little dots, so they tell you just a little bit about what that part of our classroom is. So it shows you that we have a book buddy area in our library, and there's an article about that if you want to read more. It shows where our classroom library is, where student work will be displayed, where storage and different things like that will happen. So that's a little bit more about our map. And then if you want to read a little bit more about it, feel free to use the link down here. And it is just more about the breakdown of our classroom, in everything in its places, and rationale and reasons and explanations behind it all. Next, we move over here to our classroom rules. And as I stated earlier, our classroom has 3 rules, and we call them the 3 B's. They are to be attentive, be respectful, and be responsible. So when I explain these to your students, I begin with it being attentive. And I say that my students are expected to give their full attention to every task, assignment, lesson, and job in the building. And I also explain to the students that I give my full attention to them and everything I'm working on, and I just expect the same in return. And that leads into our rule number 2, which is being respectful. So students are expected to respect each other, myself, adults in the building, and also themselves. And they're also expected to respect all the materials in the school, whether they're mine, their own, another student's, another teacher's, anything like that. And then also, both of those go into rule number 3, which is to be responsible. So students are held responsible for all of their own materials and items in the school. This is right here you can see this. It says, I asked my blank to do blank, and they did not. So a common thing I might hear is, I asked my mom to sign my paper, and she didn't. Well, this is not a valid excuse in my classroom. The students are expected to have you sign things, to bring what they need to bring to be successful. If students don't have what they need to be successful, it's going to be very hard to be successful in a classroom. So they are definitely expected to be on top of things, to be responsible, to be respectful, and to be attentive. And then these 3 rules are just in place to keep our students safe and happy. And to stay updated on your students' progress, please check Class Dojo. So this is an app that I had you all download, or you can use on the website through the beginning of the year. And we have our own class on there. And you can see your students getting points for being attentive, being respectful, being responsible, being a good friend. And you can also see if your students happen to lose points. And if you keep scrolling, of course, there's another article about it if you want to read more about our classroom rules. And then we have our consequences. So when things don't happen the way they're supposed to. So our classroom works on a 3-strike system. When it comes to rule number 1, being attentive, the first time I have to ask your student to go back to their task, it's just going to be redirected. The second time, it's going to be a small discussion with me about why they're having trouble being on task. Is it where they're sitting? Is it who they're sitting with? Is it the task at hand? I won't be able to know how to help them properly if we don't have that conversation. And then the third time, it will be loss of privilege or privileges. So if I can't have the students being attentive during class time, then they're going to be attentive during recess time in the classroom, making up what they missed. With being respectful and being responsible, you can see strike 1 for both of those is a discussion. These discussions are very important to me in the classroom. There's always a reason why something's happening. And I always want the students to come to me, let's have a talk, let's see what the reason behind this is, so that I can help them and they can also help themselves to be the best. Within being respectful here, we have strike number 2 is loss of privileges, and strike number 3 is parent contact. I try really hard with this rule to not have to contact parents unless it's a severe situation. I want the students to be able to become self-sufficient and self-motivating and independent thinkers on these situations. And so I will try as hard as I can to resolve the conflict in the classroom before parent contact needs to happen. And then with be responsible, of course, we'll have a discussion. Then we'll have a small loss of privilege. So this could be chronically not having the materials you need. So you're going to slowly start to give me some time at recess. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then loss of larger privileges. This could be anywhere from not having recess at all, to not being able to use technology, to not being able to use certain manipulatives during class time. It all just depends. Right here is a big thing in our classroom, and it's about being a fairness. So our classroom is based on the principle that fair does not mean equal. What one student may lose their privileges on will not always be what another student loses as privileges. So your student will get what they deserve when it comes to consequences and rewards in our classroom. So not every student will benefit on responsibility if I take away recess. Not every student will benefit if I take away technology time. It depends on the student, and that's where these discussions that happen with the breaking of every rule come in. I want to have those discussions so we can do what needs to be done to help your students succeed. And then also on the other hand of this, if your student is caught being good, they will be awarded dojo points, and you will be able to see that they get points and why, as well as the students on their technology, on their iPads. And then these points can be cashed in during the school year for different rewards. So it could be a small reward as a pencil, an eraser, a pen. They could be working at the teacher's desk, having lunch with the teacher. It all just depends on the student and the point values. So that's a little bit about our rules and our consequences, and that was a lot. But this will be reviewed with students and parents as often as necessary. And my email's down here again, just as a reminder. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about it, please feel free to let me know. Then we go to our classroom procedures. And classroom procedures is how our classroom runs smoothly. And so this right here outlines 4 of our classroom procedures. And the 2 biggest ones I want to talk about right now are, first, our morning hustle. So this is how students enter the room in the morning. So they don't enter the room until they've been greeted and invited by me. This ensures that I don't have students coming in if I'm having a conference with a parent or I'm discussing something with another teacher. That way there's some privacy there when needed. And the students are going to put their folders on my front table. They're going to start the morning work at their desk and leave their book bags at their desks so I can come through and make sure we have all the papers we need, we have lunch put away where it needs to go. Just make sure we're ready to start the day. And we call this the morning hustle because we want to try to complete it in 30 minutes or less. And the more often that happens, there are rewards for that. And the other one I want to talk to is the restroom signal right here. So this picture shows what our restroom signal is for their class. It's very disruptive to constantly have students raising their hand in discussions and to be called on and for them to say, "Can I use the restroom?" So if they need to use the restroom, they just raise their hand, cross their first 2 fingers, and that's how I know that they've been asked, they're asking to use the restroom. So they may not leave to use the restroom until they have made eye contact with me and I nod yes. And this is true 99% of the time. There are always situations that won't fit the rules and won't fit the procedures. So if there are emergencies or anything like that, please let me know. Get in contact with me, and I will make sure that students have access to the restroom or to the drinking fountain or things like that whenever they need it. And of course, as always, my email's down there if you need to get a hold of me, or there is this article more about our classroom procedures. And then the next page you'll see is our class announcements. And right now this page is blank. We don't have any announcements. We're just now starting the school year. But as announcements come through, they will be updated on here. So this will be announcements and reminders for field trips, lunch money, library books, all the different things we'll need. Then we'll go to the next tab, which is our class calendar. And this is just a sample calendar of kind of what they'll look like each month when they come out. So calendars will come out at the end of the previous month. So right now it is April, and our May calendar is getting ready to come out. And they will be filled in with the important things for this month, whether that is field trips, projects, plays, musicals, anything major. And they will be updated as needed. These will be left in the students' take-home folders, and I expect them to come back and forth to and from school every day. Other things we have on here is our class schedule. You can read through and learn a little bit more about what our class does every day and what time, so if you ever want to come in for anything. Then homework right here will be updated with due dates as those happen in the school year. And then also technology resources as those are needed this school year. These will be updated with things to help your students succeed best. So as always, if you have any questions, any concerns, any comments, please feel free to get a hold of me through email or phone. And here's to a great school year. Thanks!